today we're going to have a look at the anti-rattle strips on the door, see what condition mine are in. First of all, I'll get the window down. So take the door strip off and it will give me access. It just pulls up. And the idea of the anti-rattle strips is that when you close the door with the window down, it stops it rattling. As you can see, mine are still fitted down in there. A lot of people find that these come off, but there's one there. You can see there's one there, although that's very well collapsed. If you can see it down inside there, it goes about that distance. And there should be one around about here as well on this side. So the idea is when you shut the door, it stops it rattling like that. So we'll change them and see if we can improve that. Now, one way of doing this is to get the door card off, but I'm hoping that I can do it from above. But I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to fit one short piece there to replace that, but I'm along here I'm just going to put one longer piece rather than two short pieces. I'm hoping that'll be easier to fit. So what I'm going to use is a pair of long nose pliers and a trim tool, and we'll see if we can just be gentle and dislodge these. So that's dislodged really quite well. If I get the long nose pliers in there now, I should just be able to pull that out. So that's not too bad. There is a significant amount of wear on the top, but there's not much spring to that. And we'll see if we can get the other one off as well. Hope you can see that. So now it's mainly off. Hope you can see that. I'm going to get a pair of pliers, just hold the left hand end as I push it down, and I can then lift the whole thing out of the way. That one, as you can see, is in poor condition. So we will replace it. Now I've bought two extrusions. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I've used that one. I've bought that one there. These are only about £5.50 per metre, which is really cheap. I've also bought a more beefy extrusion. I know it's not exactly the same as before, but I think I'm going to go with a bigger extrusion. So I'm going to try and fit something that is probably that length to around about my thumb. But what I think I'm going to do is cut this in half, so I've got equal amount both sides. As you can see, there's metal inside here, which helps with the gripping. As you can see, the profile is a little bit deeper on this one. There's a lot of give in there, so it's not a problem. So we need to measure something around about the size of the original. I've got it in my long nose plier. Let's see if we can manipulate that in. think this is going to be a two-handed job. Well, maybe not. So it's nearly in place, and we'll push it on. So it might be a little bit of overkill. You can see that working nicely. So next thing is the more difficult part of getting the longer section in place. I think I'm going to work from the front backwards. So what I'm going to do is push this down inside here. Now you do have to be careful along here, there's a couple of sharp edges. I'll treat that little bit of rust before it all goes back on. But you can cut your finger. So when you got enough of it through, you can get the trim tools, you can pull the window back this way and tuck that down behind, or the correct side of the window. And then with the trim tool you can get underneath it and start pulling it up. Unfortunately I think that's going to be a two-handed job, but I'll do the first bit and I'll show you where we are. So as you can see, I've got the first bit in place. So what I found the best way of doing it is you put your trim tool in first, then you can feed across the top of it the seal and then pull it back up onto the ridge. So I'm going to keep working along this way and see how far we get. So the back here is still detached, hopefully you can see down inside there. So you work your way along, you get to a bit that hasn't gone on yet and you pull up. So there we go, that's on all the way along. So let's see if that's any quieter. I think it is. Another job I do want to be doing in future, if you notice, level the door here, just as you push it in it goes up. So let's see if that shows it really well there. So some of the noise we've got is going to be the catch just there riding up onto this. Let's see if it stays. Okay, I put a few spots of glue just along here to hold it in place. And what I might have to do in a follow-up video is revisit this and just make sure it's still intact and working, because I think possibly that profile might be a little bit meaty and the other profile might have been a better option. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is on the other door I'm going to use the smaller profile and we can compare. As you can see on this side, we've got one stop there, still in place, and the other one's still in place as well. But the one at the back is missing. Get the long nose pliers down in there. think I've just ripped that, but as you can see it's very well collapsed. So those are back in place now. I do notice is there is a gap just down behind here, but let's see what that sounds like. I think probably the smaller profile is the way to go, to be honest. Let's compare that to the other side.